Hello, this is Mostly Harmless, and this is another Men of War Assault Squad Shoutcast. Sorry I haven't posted many recently, but I've been a little bit ill, came down with a bit of a cold. So here is the latest. This, as you can see, is 4 versus 4. This is Germany versus the Soviets, us being as Germany. I don't get to play many 4v4s because they're quite hard to set up. People leaving and crashing and stuff like that, but I'm glad that I did get to play this one. I've taken to setting up my own matches to play just because you can have more control, and as this one wasn't my setup, this one was played a little while ago, and so the team's quite unfair. The guy I end up playing is, I think he's ranked 800 or something like that, and I'm 460 I think at the moment. He's got 2 little chevron things on his playing thing, so I'm way outclassed, but I do quite like this match. It's quite interesting. I find these kind of maps, as I've said before, quite hard to play because it's quite open, there's not much cover. There's a lot of space to sort of do a little bit of cheeky sniping with tanks and roaming all over, and this guy is certainly very good at that. I got the standard German regular infantry for the LMG, of course. Running them all the way up to take this first middle point and splitting one off to get my back point. I gather that's a standard way of doing it. Best way to find the MG, place him up nice and early, so you've got a good idea of what your force is doing. Really the best place to have your MG is right in the middle of your troops, and nice and easy. Flanking operations around the side. Unfortunately, somehow he beats me to this. I think I didn't really realise this at the time, but he's got a little bit less time to get to the to this middle point than I do, and I've lost already a crap ton of troops. Luckily, I get him behind a sandbag. He made the mistake of not focus firing on my machine gunner, so he gets a few rounds off. He kills a few people, but he's now the focus of attention. Luckily, I've got my teammate on the back here coming and supporting me, but he took a sweet time doing so, and he allowed my opponent to firmly hunker down in that bunker. MG42 showing its superiority there in taking out his machine gunner, despite the fact that he was in the bunker. So my infantry squad is down to half strength now, but as you can see, he's being supported by my teammate. Trying to push forward a little bit just so that I get some headway on this point, but my opponent's scattered out all amongst the trees, nice and hidden. This is exactly the way I think you need to play on this map. He's also got assault squads, and well, they're owning my shit up a little bit. Always a good idea to steal people's machine guns. Backbone of any solid infantry squad, but as you can see, I mean, my infantry squad is non-existent, and he's pushed far too far with his infantry squad there, my teammate. There's absolutely no reason for him to have pushed that far. There was no way this early on he was going to push far enough to get that front point, because as you can see, all the opponent had to do was pull out a little tankette, and we have absolutely nothing to fight him with. So this match was played a little while ago, a few days ago. I can't quite remember exactly blow by blow for what's going to happen, and so I'm only predicting that he's going to lose his entire infantry squad there. This makes sense, and I see no alternative. There we go, one explosive shot takes out a fuckload of SL SMG squads and members. I see no alternative than to bring out a Panzer IV to deal with this. You can never really guarantee how good your opponent's going to be with this tank micro until you've had your first engagement. Evidently the AI isn't too good with tank micro, so I had to take over and do it myself. That was quite annoying, losing me a few seconds of concentration time there. So there's T26 here. There's absolutely, again, nothing that we can do. Not helps that he's backed up by that T34. And here already I'm bricking it. I mean, you can sort of see what we're going up against here. I tell my guys to get down under that sandbag. Absolutely no point in taking him on, but of course he kills him. That's my machine gunner gone. Again, like, what the hell is he bringing this car up for? Just... I actually realise how kind of retarded my teammate here was. I'm not happy here, as you can imagine, I'm sure. And here begins my appalling luck with my tanks. Like, T-26 should not be able to take out, should not be able to deflect a Panzer IV armour-piercing shell, yet it does. Third shot lucky, fortunately, but he's taken out all of my infantry squad, and he knows exactly now where that tank is. So in comes the T-34. T-34, of course, built by the Soviets to counter the Panzer IV, so breaking it a little bit. Luckily, he's being shelled by me and my teammate on the left here. I think he is, at least. I'm assuming that's a tanker, not just that like fucking Daimler car that he drove up. But there goes two of my tank crew. Tank's functioning at half strength. He's killed the turret and guns, so it's only a matter of time since this Panzer IV goes down, and that will be all of my forces. Fortunately, I mean, it seems I don't seem to have embarrassed myself a great deal so far already. I mean, we were the first people to get the midway point, and I don't think any of the other people all the way through the match do get to the midway points. I guess that's a bit of a spoiler. I think I dropped that little notice just to let him know that there are some people running around who are about to fuck him up. But it's okay, he's pointing his back to the enemy tank, and we all know that that's the best way to run away from a tank. Show him your ass with your weakest armour, and that'll definitely win the battle for you. I didn't realise, I've never actually played this map before this game, and I didn't realise how long it takes for you to run men up, and even to this first point. I think had I realised, I would have called them in a little bit earlier to set up their defensive perimeter. I'm aware from my previous games how dangerous it is to get yourself flanked, and so I was pretty keen to get myself eyesight over this little mound just in front of my Panzer IV there. So there go some sandbags around there. The machine gun stays on the left because I think the main body of his force will be attacking left. I would have quite liked, I think, in retrospect, to have got some elevation with that machine gunner, but I was worried that he was just going to snipe him off the top with his T-34, so I put him down in the dip where at least he wouldn't be able to snipe him from all angles. As you can see, over on the left, my teammate is being pushed back even from his own point there by tanks. So all throughout the game I was consciously thinking I'd like to push forward, but if I do push forward to a certain extent, I'm going to get cut off by people switching behind my or coming from behind me and round and cutting off my troops. As you see, the guy I'm playing is really good. He snuck a man right through my forces, and the tank has seen everything that we're doing, all of us setting up points. Admittedly, it wasn't very hard for him when I lost my infantry, but it's still really good going. I was well impressed. And I've started to do this myself in the later games I've been playing. I've been looking for sort of openings just to sneak a rifleman in into his lines and have a look at the spawn point and see what's coming up, so I've got a good idea of what to defend against. So he didn't finish off my tank earlier on, which might have been a mistake for him, so I managed to get it going. First shot misses. I always seem to miss my first shot. I don't know if anyone else experiences that. I'd be lucky to know. But fortunately, the second shot hits and hull destroys, so he's not repairing that. So far, that tank has more than paid for itself. He's taken out the T-26. He's taken out the, I think it was it the turret of that? Maybe I'm wrong. Anywho, he's taken out that T-34, and my other opponent gets that tank behind that hill. So I was on purpose not switching to AP shells here because I didn't know where his tank was behind the hill because we didn't have quite line of sight. Now I'm quite glad that I didn't swap to AP because just in case this guy came over, bang! I have no idea what that explosion was, but he fucked my teammate up, and harsh. Here we are taking on a T-34 from the front. That's probably not the best idea. I didn't realise, I stuck around too long because I didn't realise he took out my main gun, and I'm running away like a little bitch. Good company of heroes training that, little sort of steps behind so that he doesn't turn around and retreat with his arse facing him. I thought it was probably a little about time to not just sit here sucking up the punishment, and about time to push forward myself round that little hill, so I called in an assault squad rather than a regular infantry squad. But in retrospect, I have one tank with a busted main gun to take on what looks to be 2 teammates worth of T-34s and tanks. And there we go, that's what happens when you try to take on 2 teammates with 1. Sorry, 2 opposition with just yourself. So that's a fuck tank. And he now has absolutely free reign to come over and absolutely murder all of my infantry, which he proceeds to do. I've got nothing to take him on with. I've just got a buttload of infantry. Fortunately, my infantry squad do quite a good job of picking those guys up off the top of the hill, and I start to set about throwing grenades, spreading out my forces. I've gotten incredibly grenade happy in the last few days. I think that's probably the best thing you can be. There's no reason not to throw just as many grenades as you can, because it forces your enemy to relocate and not fire. And they're not firing, so your troops can pick them off. Or they die with the grenade. I don't really know what happened there. I was quite annoyed. Like, it seemed like my infantry were on an even number with their infantry, yet they all got cut down. And this was, from now on, I think, one of the major themes of this battle, and it pissed me off quite a lot. Even the partisans here seem to be taking apart my infantry, and I don't quite know what I was doing wrong or how to get away with that. This guy clearly had really good infantry micro. Zerafin, what compressions makes me not be able to see that, but he had really good tank and infantry micro. Gonna get overrun, yes indeed. My teammates seem to have all but given up. He's got that tank. When I'm referring to the teammate, of course I'm talking about the other guy over on my side. He's got that tank down the back, which he's not doing anything with. I'm bringing up another Panzer IV. I chose to go for the H just because the T-34s are such a good tank against the Panzer IV that I thought I'd go for the big guns. It's very, very rare that I don't get the H, actually, just because I think the side plates are so good for deflecting. That's just the extra 100 points, I think, is well worth it. That annoyed me. Again, first shot missed. I know that I'm going to lose this Panzer IV. There's not much that's going to happen here. Again, second deflection. That really pissed me off. I realise he's got a good angle to his tank. He's parked it at 45 degrees, but nevertheless, that pissed me off quite a lot. From point blank range, and I mean, like, as far as tank battles go, I figured this was pretty point blank range. You can see my frustration. I really didn't expect that deflection. That pissed me off. And now on from the combination of him taking out my couple of tanks there with the lucky, I'm going to go for lucky deflections for him, on his part, and then being able to just splatter everybody with HE shells. He's now overrunning my points with infantry. I was wondering in the future and perhaps you guys watching could give me some advice on this. What would it have been better to get that flat gun? I realise it's quite an open map, and so the flat gun potentially could have been quite a good idea, and maybe put some mines around the outside. But it would have been grand It'd be good if somebody could give me advice on that. The only problem with the flat gun there is that it's quite artillery prone, and whilst that is, yes, another sort of forced purchase for the enemy, once they do have that artillery, if they're competent in any way at defending it, it's quite hard, I found, to get rid of well defended artillery batteries. Quite glad that he hadn't really spotted my tank there, so I could just sneak up and land a shot. But it does fuck all. You can imagine I was really pissed off at this stage. Crew injured. Fortunately, he's set on fire, so I can ignore him. As I understand, perhaps again somebody could confirm this. I understand that T-34 tanks and the Soviet tanks have really good sort of spacing around their hulls, whereas you hit a German tank in the centre because all of their crew are inside the middle of the tank. When you do penetrate through the middle, all of their people die. But somebody was explaining to me the other day that I think the T-34s have people spread out inside the hulls, so the damage that you do when you do penetrate is sort of spread out a little bit more. If somebody could confirm that, that'd be grand. But it pissed me off a little bit that his tanks seem to, penetration by penetration, be doing a little bit more bang for their buck. I guess the continuation of that then is if you do have to be more precise with targeting when you're facing Soviet tanks, where then do you target? Of course, the back I always go for, just to make sure, just to try and get shell to penetrate the engine, destroy that, and if you destroy that, then there's a fairly large chance it'll set on fire and blow up. But like I said, yeah, if somebody could confirm that, that would be grand. I quite like this battle because it was a fairly sort of standard, and I guess this could be perceived as being boring, but it was a fairly standard sort of T-34 versus Panzer IV versus sort of just swathes of infantry battle, and I think it was certainly very challenging for me because my opposition, who I pronounced earlier or tried to but can't remember now, he had really good tank micro. Like, I really had to hand it to him. He knew what he was doing with his tanks. Oh, in retrospect, I didn't realise I took out quite so many tanks. Like, I was frustrated by the end of this, like how few tanks I had taken out. But it seems that actually this I did okay with this. But yeah, no, I was happy because it was just interesting. It was fun to sort of play with just straight tank battles versus infantry macro, I guess. Here with my tank, I've done something that I've railed against people in front in the past from doing before, and that's moving sideways across the field of battle. But I think my opponents, as you can see here, they've done quite a good job of, they've pushed up just far enough, and they haven't pressed their luck in my defensive position here, but they've set up infantry squads just going prone all around my position, so there's no way that I can sneak up and start taking this middle point. I don't know whether these guys were all talking to each other or not, but I rather suspect that they were, given the coordination that they had. I just got one of my mates playing this game very, very recently, so hopefully in the not too distant, he'll get good and we'll start playing games together. We played one earlier that I think I'm going to shoutcast, but I mean he's in loop, so it's not going to be the best shoutcast. I'm an idiot. There was no excuse for that whatsoever. As soon as I saw those tanks, I should have split them up, send them running for their fucking lives. And that was what, 250 points gone to waste. That was quite a funny shot. Like, that shell must have just hit that tank commander and nothing else, but that fucked me off. I don't see how that tank could have hit anything other than the turret, and yet the tank is totally dead. And once again, I'm in the position where I've got nothing at all to fend off the two tanks coming. I was seeing how much longer I had for the Tiger, but it was far too long. I think that's a T-34-85. Could be wrong, but the Panzer IV is vastly outmatched by that. And I've got far too long to wait for the veteran Tiger to come in for call-ins. So we come to the end of the match. I'd like to say well done to Zeph on my side with this tank micro. He seemed to run rings around me. I was well impressed, and his infantry seemed to be at the right place, or the wrong place for me at the wrong time. So well done to him. Bit of a shame my teammates didn't help me out a little bit more on this side. He seemed to give up and go for the middle, but nevertheless, good game.